Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to have a look at the demo version of our exam, языка, on the English language. My name is Dana, and I really do hope that this will be useful for you. So, a couple of admin things before we start. First of all, we are going to be here for 90 minutes, maybe a little bit less. We will have time for questions, so please don't hesitate to ask them. Any questions are welcome. I love questions. The recording will be on YouTube on our channel, Учеба.ру. And if anything goes wrong, please do tell us in the chat. If you can't hear us or see us, please do tell us, okay? Don't keep silent there. Okay, moving on. A little bit about our school, guys. Учеба.ру has been trying to prepare, getting students ready for this exam and for ОГЭ. 12,000 students have studied with us. I think that's absolutely amazing. And at least 4,200 students got 90 plus in their exams. Can you imagine? That's like a lot of people, right? That's amazing. You also get a guarantee if you study with us on 3 subjects. If, of course, you do all the things we ask you to do, listen at lectures, attend seminars, and do your homework, right? You also get 1 mock exam for every subject once a month. And this thing is very important. The last point here is about the level. So in English, we have 2 levels, basic level and also high level. The level depends on the knowledge that you already have, right? So in English, we study all the tasks with both groups, basic and high level. But in basic level, you get to spend a little bit more time on the tasks, right? Ask simpler questions, stuff like that. In a high level group, you get to ask more sophisticated questions, right? So the choice is really, it depends on you, right? On the level of your English and on your confidence, right? In your knowledge. Okay, moving on, a little bit about me. I've told you that my name is Dana, and it's really nice to meet all of you. I'm a teacher and a methodologist of the English language at Учеба.ру. There are some facts here about me, but these are, well, basically just facts. I always say that the most important thing to know about me is that I'm absolutely in love with the English language and I love sharing my knowledge. So I hope to do that a little bit today and also a lot during our year-long course. All right, enough about me. About the demo, right, that we've just got from VP. We are going to have a look at the whole thing today. Some tasks we're going to look at strategies and tips that you need during the exam. Of course, we don't have 3 days, right, or 9 months right now, but I will share some of the most important things with you. At the end of our stream, you're also going to get a discount and some gifts from us. So please do watch till the end. It's really, well, I think it's cool. All right, a couple of basic things first about our exam. First of all, this is one of those exams that you do have to spend 2 days on, right? So the writing part is on the first day and the speaking part is on another day. 42 tasks in general, writing and speaking. And for those 42 tasks, you get 82 points. Those 82 points are converted then into percents, right? And so you got 100 final points. Last year, it was 86 points, primary points, right? And this year we've got some changes and now it's 82. It depends, right? Maybe right now it is going to be a little bit more complicated to get 100. That that thing that we always all want, right? But we'll see, right? We have to go through experience, right, to really know that for sure. All right, the written part, right? Day one. Again, on a separate day, you get written part and the oral part. The written part consists of 4 main blocks. The first one is listening. There you have 9 tasks based on 3 audios. 2 of those tasks are of the basic level, right? So they are pretty easy. And all the other 7 tasks are of the higher level of English. Reading part also consists of 9 tasks and is based on 3 texts. There, it's absolutely the same. 2 tasks are basic level. All the 7 others are of the higher level of English. Grammar and vocabulary are together, right, in the 3rd block of our exam. And here we got 18 tasks. 18 tasks in 3 parts. So you're going to have 3 texts, right? 3 different basic tasks, right? Which are all going to consist of probably not the same amount of tasks, but very close. And the last part is writing, right? There we only have 2 tasks, 1 basic level and 1 of the higher level of English. Email and a written statement. For all of these things, we got 3 hours and 10 minutes. If we can do all of these things perfectly in 3 hours and 10 minutes, we're going to get 62 points, which are going to be converted into approximately 76 final points. That's it, right? That's your first day of the English exam. Now we're going to have a look at all of these things in more detail and only then move on to the speaking part, okay? All right, so for listening, the recommended time is 30 minutes, and this part is always the first. So you cannot go back to listening at the end of the exam, I don't know, after grammar and vocabulary, for example, because here you're all listening to the recording together, right? So the exam starts with this part always. 30 minutes is the basic time, but well, of course, you can spend more time on thinking, right? Nobody is going to keep you from doing that. Okay, the first task in the listening part is this, right? The instructions, for some reason, are always in Russian, right? So I don't know if it makes it easier or harder because, well, you're focused on English, right? You're thinking in English, I hope, right? And here is the instruction in Russian. Okay. But there are some things that we can study, right, to be more successful in this task. You can see them right here on the right. We study to scan all the statements for the main topic. So for example, in this task, if we look at it, just give me a second to find my pencil. Right, here we go. If you scan it, you can see that the word pet is absolutely everywhere, right? In every statement, we can see pet or pets, right? So I'm assuming that pet is, well, the topic of all of these speakers, right? The task is that you see these 7 statements and you will hear 6 different speakers. 1 statement is extra, right? So 1 statement is not going to be mentioned by anyone. You scan all the statements for the main topic, right? Then you find keywords, right? The keywords are everything that makes your statement different from all the others. Guys, keywords are important in this task because while you're listening, it's really hard to read at the same time, right? So for you not to do that, for you to make it a bit easier, you can just underline or, I don't know, write somewhere next to the statements something that will help you while you're listening and concentrating on the audio. Then number 3, the thing that we study during our year-long course, listen for synonyms. How do we do that, and why do we do that? Well, never we are never going to hear the same words as we have in the statements. If we do, we might want to think even harder, because those can be distractors, things to confuse you, right? So if we have in the first statement, there are many disadvantages to having a pet, maybe instead of the word disadvantages, the speaker is going to use some other word, like, I don't know, downsides, right? Something that is the same, right? A synonym, but the word is different. So two words that are that mean the same thing but look very differently, those are synonyms for us, right? And that those are the things that we need to focus while we're listening. Okay, moving on, guys. Listening to. Okay, so listening to is all about true, false, and not stated. I'm sure that you have done lots of tasks like this while you've been studying English, right? But here we are going to focus on studying how to actually know the difference between especially false and not stated options, because those are, well, the most difficult ones to differentiate between. We are also going to study how to speculate on what you're going to hear, right? Because that's an important skill. If you know what you're going to hear, it's easier to actually understand the people that you're hearing for the first time in your life, right? Then listen and make notes. The third strategy here is also very important, because not all people can do that, of course, because we're all different, right? For some people, it's easier to concentrate on the recording and remember stuff, right? But it's also important to be able to take notes, right? So that after listening, you can go back to them and, well, rethink, right, your decision. Okay, so again, here, keywords, right? Just like in the first task, are going to help you navigate through the task easier while you're listening. But the main idea is to take notes, right, while you're listening. That is going to make it easier for you. All right, and this is the higher level, right? 3 through 9. Here on the screen, you can only see 3 and 4, well, because it's a huge task, right? But for an example, I think that's enough. What is 3 through 9 about? Guys, first of all, it can be a question, right? Like in number 3 here, or it can be a sentence that you need to finish, like in number 4. The idea is that you hear one text. In this case, it's an interview. It can also be a monologue sometimes, but here it's an interview. So somebody is interviewing Leona Brown, right? And we need to answer some questions about her, about the interview in general, right? The tip here that I really do want you to try is that before you listen for the first time to the audio, you only read the questions, all right? So you ignore the answers so that they don't confuse you, and you only read the questions. So, for example, question number 3. What do we learn about Leona Brown at the beginning of the interview? All right, so we need just a true fact about this person that she did say at the beginning of the interview, right? And then in between your listenings, you're going to listen to the recording twice, of course. You can look at the answers as well, right? And compare your notes, what you wrote about Leona Brown, right, to the answers. Why do I advise that, guys? Well, because all of these words might be in the audio, right? It's a very popular thing to do here to distract you from the right answer, to mention all the words from the actual answers in the audio, but just in different context, right? So we need to be very, very attentive here and careful as to not confuse what we heard, right? Particular words with the right answer. In number 4, it's the same, right? Leona thinks that many of her readers find it surprising that she, right? So probably she's going to say something about her readers being surprised or astonished or any other synonym of surprised, right? By some fact about her life or about her career, about anything, right? So we need to write down that surprising fact right here while we're listening for the first time, right? Then compare what we wrote to all of these answers, see which one matches better, right? And then while we're listening for the second time, we're going to choose the right answer. Right. During our amazing year-long course, we are going to study all of these things, guys. First of all, try to predict the topic, right? We can do that without listening, right? Just reading the questions, we can understand what people are going to talk about. Understand inferring. What is inferring, this scary word? I'm pretty sure nobody knows it. So when we infer, guys, we understand things without them being explicitly told to us, right? So basically we're using logic, right? I think maybe I should change that to logic so that's not to confuse you, right? Listening for details. Guys, this is actually what this task checks, right? So this is the most important thing that we need to study during this year. How to listen for details, how to catch them in the audio, particular details that we need to answer questions. And last one, dealing with distractors. Distractors, again, are words and phrases that try to keep you from the right answer. So it's really important, right? Because our whole right answer depends on it, on how we deal with distractors. Okay, if you have any questions about the listening part, please don't hesitate to write them, and I will go back to them at the end of our stream. For now, we are moving on to reading. And for reading, the recommended time, again, is 30 minutes. From experience, people usually need just a little bit more than that to read 3 enormous texts, right? So for this part, it's totally okay, right? If you spend a little bit more time on it, if you can spend less time on other parts, right? So reading is not controlled anymore, right? Listening was a controlled practice, so you couldn't really move the tasks around there because, well, your time depends on the moment that the audio actually starts and ends, right? But here, you can, I don't know, start with the most difficult task, then move back to the easier task and all that. It all depends on your preferences, really. Let's have a look at the actual tasks. Number 10 is, well, pretty easy, right? It's the basic level of English, and the point here is to match the headings to the actual texts, right, to the paragraphs. So what are we studying here? We need to study how to find keywords, right? Again, just like we did in the listening part. So keywords are very important for the whole exam, yeah? So we are finding keywords in our headings. Okay, I lost my pen again, sorry. In the headings and in the paragraphs as well. Again, here we only have 2 paragraphs, but in the actual task, of course, we have many more, right? A through G. Here we go, right? A through G. Again, one heading is extra, right? We don't need one heading. Could be 1, could be 8, could be anything, right? So one heading is extra. We need to match all the others to the paragraphs. We are finding keywords, and we're also learning how to get the main idea of the text, right? Based on all of that, we're matching the headings to the paragraphs. And guys, please note this number 2, ignore the unknown words. That is Well, from experience, it is one of the most difficult things to do for students, but it is also very important because unknown words are always here. Nobody can know all the words. I don't, and you don't. And well, I'm pretty sure even the most intelligent person doesn't know all the words in the language. So it is absolutely fine if you don't know some word in the text or in the heading. The idea here is to understand the meaning, right? The meaning of the whole sentence or the meaning of the whole paragraph. If you can do that, please just ignore the unknown words, the new words. We are going to take an example so that it's easier for me to convince you, right? So let's read the beginning of the paragraph A. At the edge of Russia on the Pacific Ocean, there is the distinctive Kamchatka Peninsula, famous for its rich natural diversity. So the word peninsula is not in the program, right, of studying English, but is it really important here? We know that the idea is that we're talking about Kamchatka, right? And we also have famous for its natural diversity. So Kamchatka is famous for its nature, right? That's the basic idea of this sentence. We don't need the word peninsula to understand it. So I'm just ignoring it. I don't like new words, so, well, I do like new words, but not at the exam, right? So we are ignoring the unknown words and everything is going to be fine with us, right? We are underlining keywords in our paragraph again, right? Volcanoes and, I don't know, landscapes, travelers, extreme sports, wow, right? And adventures. And we're comparing them to the paragraphs, to the headings, sorry, right? And I don't know, maybe it's number 5, right? Maybe it's number 6. I don't know for now, so I'm just going to leave 2 numbers next to my paragraph and move on to paragraph B. While I'm reading all the paragraphs, it is going to become more clear for me if it's 5 or 6 for A, right? Then I can, I don't know, cross out number 5 when I meet a paragraph that is better suited for number 5 and move on to my next paragraph. The idea here is to let yourself write several numbers, several answers. That's totally fine while you're doing the task. The idea, again, is that at the end, you have only one, right? So 6 for paragraph A, I don't know, 3 for paragraph B, and so on. Okay, that's it for reading 10. Hope now you understand it a little bit better. And we're moving on to 11. All right. So 11, reading 11 is, again, of the basic level. What do we need here? Well, you can see a lot of words in our study to section, right? But basically, we need to understand the meaning of the text and of all our phrases and the structural connections between them, right? So grammar behind the text. At the course, we are also going to learn how to use subordinate clauses, logical linkers, disconnected phrases, comparatives, and a lot, guys, about grammar so that it's easier for us to do reading 11 and, well, lots of other things, right? But basically, the idea of the task is that you put the phrases 1 through 7, right, to the text, to the gaps A through F, right? Okay, let's do it together, right? Why not? We have the whole task here on the screen, so I guess we can do it. What do we start with? We start with the statements, right? Not with the text. We need to understand the statements, right? And how they can be connected to the previous words in the text and to the following words in the text. So, number 1, how talkative they were in a situation close to. Okay, so what do we need to pay attention to here? First of all, they. Who they? If we have a pronoun in the text, we need to understand what it refers to, right? So it has to refer to a plural noun, right? I'm just going to keep it underlined because, well, it's very important for me to have somebody plural in the text. Then, what do we have following this? Close to, well, we need either a noun after it, right? So I'm going to write noun for me, or maybe a gerund, right? So close to something or close to doing something. That's what should follow my, well, phrase, right? What can precede my phrase? How talkative they were in a situation close to. Well, it could be a reported speech, right? We could be reporting a question here, or I don't know, maybe it can be a verb, right? Verb or reported speech here. Okay. And so guys, I do all of that for all of my phrases here. That sleep evolved early in the history of animal, probably animal something, right? Because this is not just a noun here. So I need something after my phrase. And before, of course, as well. We can't start a sentence with that, right? So this is a clause, right? This is part of another sentence. Number 3 is going to confuse us because it also starts with that, right? So we will need to pay attention not only to grammar, but also to meaning here, right? That the upside down jellyfish, Cassiopeia, I guess that's the name of the jellyfish, right? Showed, again, we need something, right? Showed something. We always need an object after showed, so a noun again. Number 4, strengthen memory and keep the brain healthy. Okay, this could be the end of the sentence, right? Sounds pretty done to me, right? So maybe it's going to be at the end of the sentence, but before that, we do need a subject, right? The subject is missing from this phrase, so something might strengthen memory and keep the brain healthy, right? We could have another verb before strengthen as well. So it's pretty tough, right, to guess for now. But I'm going to put subject here because we don't have it, and maybe verb, right? These notes, guys, are just for me, right? Okay, let me move that just a little bit. All right, here we go. And this one, right. Okay, number 5. The students were having coffee and started debating. Okay, so here I do have the subject, students, and what they were doing. We're having coffee, right? So this could be the start of the sentence, right? Started debating. Usually we debate something, right? So probably there is going to be something after this phrase. Number 6, when 3 science students crept into the lab. When, this is a clause, right? So there should be something before, right? Maybe some time period, right? And, well, maybe there is going to be something after, but maybe it's going to be the end of the sentence, right? When 3 science students crept into the lab. Again, we got the subject, students, and we got the predicate, crept, right? Okay, and number 7, if they could get the jelly's attention. Again, something should be before, right? Probably, again, reported speech, right? If we can report a question with if, yeah, but could be the end of the sentence. All right, let's do it, all right. I think we're ready. Okay, so worms and fish do it. Birds and bees do it. But do jellyfish fall asleep? Interesting question, right? It was after midnight where the jellyfish were kept. Okay, so where says that we need a place before here, right? It was after midnight. I remember that at some point I thought that we might need a period of time, right? Where was that? Right, number 6, when 3 science students crept into the lab. And we have a place, right? The lab, where the jellyfish were kept. Does it sound okay for me? It does. So, number 6. It was after midnight when 3 science students crept into the lab where the jellyfish were kept. Sounds perfectly fine to me. Moving on. Reading. The students did not tell anyone. The secret they were trying to keep was a totally crazy experiment, blah, blah, blah. A few weeks before, okay, again, time period, right? A few weeks before, whether jellyfish needed to sleep. Whether opens another clause for us, right? Let's have a look at our sentences. A few weeks before. Well, we have 6 placed. A few weeks before. How talkative? A few weeks before. That sleep. That does not work here grammatically, right? Strengthen, again, doesn't work because we don't have the subject in our sentence. The students were having coffee and started debating whether jellyfish needed to sleep. Okay, maybe. A few weeks before, if they could get the jellies, no. Okay, so the students were having coffee and started debating, right? A few weeks before, we have our subject, we have our verb, the students were having coffee. And whether works perfectly here, right? Because whether also opens the, well, kind of reported speech, right? They started debating whether jellyfish needed to sleep. Okay, that's number 5 for us here. Okay, crossing it out, moving on. Of course not, said one of them. Sleep helps. Sleep helps something, right? Jellyfish are so simple, they don't even have brains. Okay, there was something about the brain in my phrases. I'm going to find it where. Right, number 4. Strengthen memory and keep the brain healthy. Let's hope that works. Sleep helps strengthen memory and keep the brain healthy. Right, that works, yes? Jellyfish are so simple, they don't even have brains, right? So, guys, that is a lexical reference, right? That's what helped us understand this better. And that's why it's so important to read all these phrases before you actually read the text, right? It makes it so much easier. Okay, moving on. Jellyfish, blah, blah, blah. The others weren't so sure, but they wanted to find out. The 3 students designed an experiment and see if the jellyfish were asleep. They watched the animals to see how they moved and, okay, they watched the animals. Why? To see how they moved and for some other reason, right? So I need a reason here. Okay, well, my first starts with how, so maybe my second is also going to start with how, right? That seems logical to me. How talkative they were in a situation close to. Okay, well, they watched the animals to see how they moved and how talkative they were in a situation close to when they were resting. No, it doesn't work, right? Close to, we need a noun or a gerund, right? After close to. We can't have a clause after close to. So something else. Okay, what else could it be? A reason, right? How they moved, and if they could get the jelly's attention when they were resting. They, meaning jellies, right? Well, maybe. I'm going to put 7 here. Maybe also put a question mark here so that I can make sure. Yeah. But for now, 7 is okay for me. Okay, it turned out that the jellyfish moved about 30% less at night. It was also harder to get their attention. Okay. Months of late night studying led to amazing results. Young scientists reported, reported, right? That is a verb after which we very often use that. So we have 2 or 3. Sleep-like behavior, we have after the gap. So that sleep evolved early in the history of animal sleep-like behavior. No, that's weird. Okay, let's try number 3. Reported that the upside-down jellyfish, Cassiopeia, showed sleep-like behavior. Well, we can show some behavior, right? Jellyfish can too. Okay, so maybe it's number 3, but again, not sure, so I'm putting a question mark here. Okay, this made it the first animal without a brain known to do so. Right. Well, guys, this just confirmed my my idea, right? This made it the first animal without a brain known to do so. Known to do what? To show sleep-like behavior, right? Yes, so I'm deleting my question mark from number 3 because I just confirmed it. Okay, the results suggest, okay, after suggest, we can also have that. So maybe it's number 2, life. Okay, that sleep evolved early in the history of animal life, right? I was expecting something here, right, to describe my other noun. So yeah, it's number 2, absolutely. That sleep evolved early, right? Yeah. As the jellyfish group of animals first arose about 7, blah, 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 right? Okay, so where do I have my other question mark? Number 7, if they could get the jelly's attention. Okay, 7, that's in D. All right, so all the others I'm sure about, right? So I'm going to cross them out here. Number 4. Wait, sorry, lost my pen. Number 4 and 3 and 2 as well. Okay, so I got 7 or 1 for D. They watched the animals to see how they moved and how talkative they were in a situation close to when. Right, we already discussed number 1. Yeah, we do need a noun or a gerund after close to, so 1 is out. I do not need number 1, so it is 7, I am sure. And that's how we do it, guys, right? So we do pay attention to all the pronouns and all the other references that we might need in the phrases and in the text as well, right? After we've done all of this, we read the whole thing just to make sure that it sounds logical, right? And that's it. We're done. Oh, guys, I forgot to tell you how many points you get for each task, right? Okay, we're going to fix that. All right, so for reading 11, if you do everything perfectly, just like we did with you together right now, you get 2 points, right? Let's write it down here somewhere. 2 points for reading 11. If you make 1 mistake, you get 1 point, right? 1 mistake, 1 point. And well, if you make more than 2 mistakes or 2 mistakes, 2 plus, that's 0 points, unfortunately, right? Well, at least we can't lose points here, right? We can't ever go into minus, so that's good. Yeah. Okay, let's go back for a little bit, right? To reading 10. Here we get 3 points, right? So again, if we do everything correctly, we get 3 points. If we make 1 mistake, that's 2 points for us, 2 mistakes, 1 point for us, and 3 or more, unfortunately, 0 points, right? Okay, moving on to 12 through 18. Guys, this is a huge text, right? We're not going to read it right now, but we are going to have a look at all the strategies that can help us complete this task perfectly, right? For each of the questions, 12 through 18, you get 1 point. right? Plus 1 for each of them. Yeah. The idea here is very, very simple, right? You either get a question, like in number 12, yeah, a question, and you need to answer it with one of the options here, 1 through 4. Sometimes you also get a sentence that you need to complete, again, with options 1 through 4. There are always 4 options to each question or to each sentence that you need to finish. The great news here is that usually all these questions go with the text, right? So number 12 is going to be somewhere at the beginning of the text, right? Number 13, further, 14, further, and so on. Sometimes the last question or closer to the end, you can get a question like about the whole thing. It can happen, right? But usually they go like together. Yeah, that is pretty convenient for us. All right, what are the tricks here? The trick, again, is just like in listening 3 through 9, first read the questions, right? Ignoring the answers, right? That is going to make it easier for us to understand, well, which answer is right. I know it sounds surprising, but still, let's do the first one together. How does the author feel about his graduation? Right. The first question I want to ask, how should I know, right? How the author feels. But, well, most probably they are going to say something about that in the text. That's how we should know. And guys, this is also our strategy number 1. We are going to study how to understand implications. An implication is something that is, again, not said to you explicitly, like directly, right? But which is implied in the text, right? So it's there. You have to read between the lines to get it, but it is there, right? Okay, so reading, I don't know, maybe 2 paragraphs, maybe 3, right, of the text to get how the author feels about his graduation. His, right, it's a boy. Okay. Graduation is less than a month away. While I cannot wait to throw my hat up into the air and officially check off went to college on my to-do list, there is one thing that has been staring me down that I absolutely dread: entering the workforce. Now, guys, it is going to be a little bit hard if you don't know these 2 words, right? To stare someone down and to dread. But we're going to move on to the second paragraph and try to understand them better, right? I believe that with my shiny new degree and my references on my CV, I will be able to start working at the lower end of the companies I spent 4 years preparing myself for. Instead, in all job postings that I find, I see this requirement: 3+ years of experience in related field. Okay, so maybe this person feels disappointed, right? That, well, he is finishing college and he cannot find a job, right? Maybe they feel anxious about it, right? But they also cannot wait to finish, right? To graduate. So we are going to have a look at the answers right now. Regretful. No regret, right? He's happy that he got to go to college, right? Yeah, he sounds pretty happy. I cannot wait, right? Okay, doubtful. Maybe doubtful. Maybe. Worried. Definitely. Satisfied. Well, there's nothing about satisfaction, right? Nothing about it being pleasant. Yeah, so definitely not satisfied, definitely not regretful. I'm thinking between doubtful and worried. How do I decide? Well, if I know the word staring me down and I absolutely dread, then I'm absolutely sure that it's worried. Yeah, the right answer. But if I don't know those words, I'm going to keep reading. Speaking from personal experience, I believe that my extracurricular activities at the university prepared me for the jobs I was applying for. But that rejection letter keeps showing up in my inbox. From the comments I have received about my application, they all asked for more experience in the field, although an entry-level job is a job that requires minimal professional work experience. So guys, basically, this person is just struggling, right? Because everybody wants him to be experienced, but he has just graduated from college. Not yet even, right? He is going to graduate from college. So he's not really doubtful, right? He knows that he needs more experience and he doesn't have it, right? So there is no doubt here. But he is definitely worried. He's scared that he's not going to find a job, right? After his graduation. Okay, guys, and that is how we got that answer number 3 is correct. Yeah. In number 13, we need to finish the sentence. When in college, the author expected that, right? To answer that, we also need to keep on reading, right? What did he expect? That's what we need to read, right? That's what we need to find out. After we think we got our answer, we think we can answer it without the text, we go back to our answers and check, right? We confirm our answer with one of the options, 1 through 4. Yes, not the other way around, guys. That's important because this text is also full of distractors, just like listening 3 through 9. Yeah. Sometimes you also get questions like in number 14. The expression set you apart in the sentence is closest in meaning to make somebody sound blah, 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 right? So this task, this particular question and questions like this one want us to understand something from context. Very often, these words are the words that you have not studied, right? So these are new words that you need to guess the meaning of. And that is also something that we study to do in our year-long course at Учеба.ru, right? Okay. What, are we ready to move on, guys? What do you think? I think we are, right? We got the main idea of 12 through 18. We also got that we get 1 point for each of the tasks and that we need to find answers in the actual text, right? We underline, again, keywords or phrases, right, that help you answer the question without even looking at the options. Okay, forgot one. Sorry, just a sec. Here we go. And moving on. Okay, moving on. Right. Okay, this is my favorite part. Grammar and vocabulary. Why is it my favorite part? Well, because for this part, you can study everything, right? And you can be really sure in your answer if you spend this year studying grammar and vocabulary intensively, okay? For this part, the recommended time is 40 minutes, but again, you can, of course, spend less or more time on it if you need. Okay, let's have a look at the first set of tasks. 19 through 24 are all about grammar. Usually here you get 2 texts, right? They are separated by a title. The first one, a cleaning wand. The second one, in this case, is, well, about a person. Robert Heinlein, I guess, right? Sounds German. Okay. What do we need to study, right, for these tasks to complete them successfully? Well, you see a whole list of things here, right? And you really do need to study all of that grammar, yes, to be successful at in completing these tasks perfectly. Let's have a look at these particular things, right? And maybe you might even write down the things that are really important for them. Okay, so what do? First of all, we can read the text, of course, to get like the main idea of it, right? What's it about? If we think we have enough time. If we don't think we have enough time, that's also absolutely fine because we can start with the words, right? So the first one is one. What part of speech is it? That is the most important thing to understand here, right? What part of speech is the word that I have in the task? One is a numeral, right? Or a number, in other words. The only thing that we can do with a number is put it into order. So numbers are extremely easy in 19 through 24 because the only other form they have is ordinal, right? No other thing to do here. It's the first ever cleaning device you can literally take anywhere, right? That's it. One can never be anything else, right? In these tasks, it's always first, just an ordinal number. And guys, it's extremely important to remember that you cannot change the part of speech here. So if you have a number in the task, it has to stay a number, right? It cannot become firstly because firstly is an adverb and you have a number, right? So the only thing a numeral, a cardinal numeral can change into is an ordinal numeral, right? And that's first. Okay, number 20. The thing about it is that it can clean anything. And we have the word good. Good is an adjective. I know that. And you're going to know that too if you study with us, right? Adjective. Let's write it down here. Okay. So guys, the only thing we can do with an adjective in 19 through 24 is put them into the comparative form or the superlative form. How do we know which one? Well, comparative adjectives compare two things. Superlative adjectives compare three or more things. The right here also tells us that most probably this is the superlative degree. But let's also think about the meaning, right? The thing about it is that it can clean anything, right? So we are comparing this thing to what? To one other thing? No, to all the other things, right? So we need the superlative degree. And the superlative degree of good is best, right? Good as an irregular adjective, it has good, better, the best. So the superlative degree is best, and you're also all going to know that if you study with us. Okay, 21. There is no doubt that are going to like this invention very much. Okay, sexist task, why not? All right, so we have woman, right? That is a noun. I also know that, right? And I also know that the only thing we can do with a noun is put it into the plural form, right? So here I need to remember that woman has an irregular plural form and it changes into women, right? That's it. I've got the first part down, yeah? Just knowing that numbers have only the ordinal form and the only thing nouns can do is be put into the plural form. I got two tasks just like that. Very easy, right? Okay, moving on to the second text. Robert blah, blah, blah was a US science fiction author. He was among those writers who emphasized scientific accuracy in their fiction. He also, it was necessary to challenge the readers. Right. Okay, so think is a verb. And that is one of the most difficult parts of speech you can meet here because we can do lots of things with verbs, right? How many tenses do we have, right? A lot. So I'm going to have a look around my gap to understand which tense this whole text is in, right? Was, he was, emphasized, right? And it was necessary to challenge the readers. My whole text is in past simple. If we look further, it's also going to be past simple. So I'm looking at my gap. He also, it was necessary to challenge the readers. He did the action himself, right? It wasn't done to him, right? So the voice is active. What about my tense? Well, I have no reason to believe that it's not anything except for past simple, right? Because the whole text is in past simple. So I just need past simple here as well. And to form past simple, we need the second form of the irregular verb think, which is thought. And I got it, right? Okay, moving on to 23. Here we got a pronoun, another interesting part of speech, right? That we can do lots of different things to. Sorry, not to, with, right? They. He pointed out it was necessary to develop critical thinking. What does they refer to? Who are they? Well, in the previous sentence, we had readers, right? So it's probably about the readers. To develop critical thinking that belongs to the readers, right? So we got possession here. And we also have a noun, thinking, after our gap. So we need a possessive pronoun there. Their critical thinking. Okay, 24. Another verb. Okay. That's a challenge. All right, let's have a look. He pointed out that any science fiction book is a success if the author followed these two important principles. Guys, this small word, if, makes me think that this is a conditional sentence, right? If the author followed these important principles. So if I know the structure of the conditional sentences, then I know that this is past simple, right? Which means that in the other part of my conditional sentence, I need would plus infinitive. So I'm going to write just that. Would plus infinitive be. And just like that, I got my second conditional. Any science fiction book would be a success if the author followed these two important principles. And we got it, right? Well, it is easy if you know lots about grammar, right? In our year-long course, again, sorry for advertising it, but it is amazing. So in the year-long course, we are going to study all the parts of speech that you can meet in 19 through 24 and all the things you can do with them, right? So that when you see these tasks, you don't just act on intuition, right? You also have like rules, right? And proof that you are absolutely right. And I think that's an amazing feeling, right? Especially at the exam. That gives you confidence and control. So I really do love grammar and, you know, strict rules that it has. Okay, we are moving on to other tasks. Again, in 19 through 24, you cannot change the part of speech, right? We remember that. But in the next set of tasks, just give me a second to clear the board. In the next set of tasks, that is actually what you're expected to do, right? Let's have a look at them. 25 through 29. Here we are studying, again, parts of speech, right? But with a different reason. Here we need to form other words from the same word family. What is a word family, guys? Let's take the first word from here, vary, right? Vary is a verb, but we can also form an adjective, for example, various, right? And we can also form a noun, variety, yeah? So guys, this is a small word family, right? A word family is, well, all the words that have like the same root, yeah, and that we can form from one base word. Okay. Right, all the other things here, articles and plural nouns, we are studying connected to these tasks because they can help us understand what part of speech we need in all of these gaps, right? So let's do it together. The text is about Ivan Sechenov, right? And we need to put all of these words into the text, changing the part of speech, or, well, just forming another word that is connected to the one we have in the task. Okay, was an outstanding Russian scientist. He was born in blah, 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 in a noble family. His parents, okay, his education throughout his entire life, and the boy followed their advice. At the age of 14, he chose to become a military engineer and studied technical subjects. Okay, so I have a verb before my gap, an adjective, and a noun after my gap. What do I need in my gap? I have very, right? So, guys, once you've been doing this for a year, right, you understand that the only thing that can be here is an adjective, right? Because we need just another word to describe other noun subjects, right? Technical describes our subjects, and we need to form another adjective, another word to describe our subjects from the word very. I already know that various, right, is an adjective that I can form from very, so I'm going to write it right here. Various. Here we go. Okay. It's okay. 26. However, his heart was not really in it. In 1850, Sechenov entered Moscow Medical University with a full of the goals of his life. Now here, I studied articles, right? And number 3 to make it easier for me. So A means that we need a noun after it. Full is not a noun, it's an adjective which describes my noun, right? And after my gap, I do not have a noun, I have a preposition. So in my gap, I need a noun. If I want to form a noun from this adjective aware, I need to add a suffix ness. So awareness. Here we go. We got it. Okay, so how do I know that I need a suffix ness and not some other suffix? Because I know words, right? Unfortunately, there are no real rules on how to add suffixes to different words, so you just have to know a lot of words, right? And that is why this task is not only about grammar, but also about the vocabulary, right? We need grammar to understand what part of speech we need in the gap, but we need vocabulary to actually form that part of speech. Yes? Okay, 27. Sechenov was a student. Okay, I got again a, right? So I need a noun after it, but I got my noun after the gap, student. So the only thing that can be here is an adjective to describe my noun student. I have the word will, and to form an adjective from will, I just need to add ing, willing. He was a willing student, which enabled him to graduate among top students. Okay, 28. He mastered biology, anatomy, surgery, and physiology too. Okay. So I have, where's my pencil? Right, here it is. I have my subject, he. I have my predicate, mastered. What did he do? He mastered some subjects. He mastered them to what? We need another object. And by object, I mean noun, right? After a preposition to, we need a noun. And to form a noun from perfect, we need ION, perfection. Here we go. Okay, and 29, the last one here, guys. After a short period of studying and working abroad, Sechenov returned to Russia, where he made numerous discoveries in psychology, physiology, and anatomy, many of which we still use today. Publishing houses, his scientific works every year. All right. So I have publishing houses as my subject. His scientific works as my object every year, but I don't have a verb, right? I always need a verb in my English sentences. So what do I have? This is also a verb, right? Print. So what can I do? Well, basically, I need to form another verb, right? From this verb. What can publishing houses do? Well, they print stuff, right? But what if they do it every year? So they do it several times, right? So they reprint his scientific works, right? Re is a very popular prefix to say that we do some action several times over, right? So publishing houses reprint his scientific works every year. That's it, right? So 19 through 24 and 25 through 29 are very similar in structure, right? Like they are all just texts and you need to put words into the text. But the difference is that in 19 through 24, only your grammar is checked, right? So there you need to put the words into the right grammatical form. But here, both your grammar and your vocabulary is being checked, right? So it's really hard for me to talk and do this on the screen at the same time. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so right, in 25 through 29, we need to change the part of speech, right? Sometimes, like in our last task here, 29, we form the same part of speech, right? But we add some prefixes or suffixes to the word that we have. For all of them, 19 through 24 and 25 through 29, we get 1 point, right, for each. For 25, 1 point. For 26, 1 point. And same thing about 19 through 24. Okay, now we're moving on to 30 through 36. Guys, here we have another text, right? This one is called At the Office, but here we also have options, right? So in 30, we need to choose 1, 2, 3, or 4, and in all the others as well, right? Our answer is just one number. We need to put one of these words, one word from our options into the text. Let's do it together. Okay. Max White tapped on Paul's office door at 3. He walked in without for a response. So the things that we do need to pay extra attention to are words after our gap and before our gap, right? And meaning, of course, as well. But these things, after and before the gap, are going to help us grammatically, right? Let's have a look at our options. Requiring, demanding, expecting, and waiting. So I know that the only word that can be used with for is waiting. So that's my right answer. I am very sure of that because I've been studying English for a very long time, right? But if I am not as familiar with all my prepositions, I'm also going to have a look at all the others, right? Requiring for a response, well, we don't really knock on someone's door requiring the response, right? So that's out. Demanding, why not, right? But again, we can't demand for a response. When we demand something, we like really strictly say that we need it. And expecting. Expecting is a synonym of wait, but again, we can't use expect with for. We are expecting a response or we're waiting for a response. Okay, 31. Paul looked up from the papers on his desk and said, "Sit down, Max. Please, me everything you know." And right, in the options, we have tell, say, talk, and speak. This is a very, very popular set of verbs, right, to check in this exam. When we have me, an indirect object, right, someone, we always need tell. Please tell me everything you know. Say something to somebody. Talk to me or with me. Speak to me or with me, right? So again, grammar here saved us, right? And we definitely are sure about our answer. Okay, 32. It was Tuesday, the 8th of July, the day before. The rumors had been rampant throughout the company that more of the top executives were going to be sacked on the explicit orders of Brent Horn. Nobody knew who would be terminated. Again, here we have our connecting phrases, right? Therefore, although, moreover, and however. Okay, so guys, with connecting words, with linking words, we always need to understand the meaning of the sentences, right? And how they're connected to the previous one, to the following one, all of that. Here, I can see that this is contrast, right? Because everybody knew that somebody is going to get sacked or fired, yeah, but nobody knew who would be terminated, right? So this is contrast. Everybody knew on the one hand that somebody was going to, but nobody knew who, right? Who exactly. So what do we have for contrast here? We have although for contrast and however. Well, what do we choose? Therefore is for consequences, moreover is for addition, so they're out. Although and however. Right. Well, a comma here helps us understand that this is however, but something else does as well. Although something, blah, 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 something, then the contrast. But with however, it is usually a different sentence, right? So we have the first sentence with one reason, and then we have contrast, however, the other part of our contrast. So in this case, we need however. Number 4. Here we go. And guys, of course, connecting phrases are a big part of our preparation for 30 through 36. Okay, 33. So most of people were about losing their jobs, bothered, troubled, annoyed, or worried. I know that we cannot be annoyed about something, right? We can be annoyed at something or with someone, but not about. Troubled also is out because this is usually used as an adjective, right? Like a troubled person, for example, or a troubled business, but not about something. And I have bothered or worried left. Here, I need meaning, right? I need context. So I'm going to read a little bit further. An atmosphere of fear reigned in the company for the first time in over 30 years. Okay, fear, okay, and there was gloom on every floor of the building. Right, so when we are bothered about something, we usually think it's important to us and we're worried about it, right? In this case, well, there is nothing to be important, right? Losing their jobs can't be important, right? We can use bothered in another case, like she is very bothered about everybody else's opinion of her, right? That, yes, everybody else's opinion can be important and it can worry you. But in this case, only worried can work, right? Because losing a job can't be important. Keeping it, maybe, right? So this again is 4. Okay, 34. Max had all the information, blah, blah, blah. I understand George Sanford was given his walking orders late on Friday afternoon. And this week we'll see the of Jim Cooper and John Turner, 2 good men. We have determination, demonstration, departure, destruction. Well, this is very much about the vocabulary, right? Determination is definitely out because I know that determination means your will, right? When you really want to do something and you're like focused on your goal. This is not about that. Demonstration is basically a show, right? So no, nobody's going to demonstrate Jim and John. Departure and destruction. They can be both used with off, right? But if we look a little bit earlier in the text, we see walking orders that I underlined because I thought these words were important. Walking orders means that these people were made to leave, right? To leave the company. Well, one person, George Sanford, sorry. So departure or destruction. When we destroy something, right? So the destruction of something is like a big boom, right? And when we depart, we just leave. So it's probably number 3, right? Losing one's job can be pretty bad, right? But it doesn't really destroy a person. Yeah, or at least it shouldn't. Yeah. So more logically, it is number 3, departure, right? At least because of the walking orders, right? Okay, 35. They had been with the company about as long as Paul had. They were among Brent Horn's big supporters when he was trying to get the company back from the DeWitts. They were much by everyone. Respected, remained, recognized, and regarded. Respected works, let's underline it, remained by everyone. No, when we remain, we stay still, right? We don't move, so it doesn't work vocabulary-wise. Recognized by everyone, that can work, but you can't be much recognized by everyone. If somebody recognizes you, they know you, right? So they know who you are. So that's out because of much. And regarded. Much regarded by everyone. Regarded is a very beautiful word, but it doesn't work meaning-wise, right? When we regard someone as someone, we have an opinion of them as some particular type of person, right? So again, this is out, and respected was right. They were much respected by everyone. Okay, and the last one. Paul couldn't of their dismissal. Accept, approve, appreciate, admire. Paul couldn't. And here again, I need to know my prepositions because the only word that works with of is approve. Approve of somebody's dismissal, right? Accept could also work without of, right? Paul couldn't accept their dismissal. So meaning-wise, it works, but grammar doesn't think so. Appreciate, well, when we appreciate something, we are thankful or grateful for it. So maybe it could work, right? If we were talking about like rivals or people who didn't like each other, right? But here, the whole text is about how everybody was scared and how everybody was respectable. So probably not, right? And well, we can't use it with of either. When we admire someone, we have like big love and respect for them. But again, we can't use of with them, right? Okay, so guys, let's have a look. Wait, I had that magic button here the whole time. Sorry. Okay, so what do we study to be successful in these tasks, guys? Of course, phrasal verbs, right? Those are verbs plus prepositions. Prepositions with verbs and other parts of speech, right? So adjectives, nouns, whatever. Prepositions are very important here. As you can see, they helped us a lot during this task. Collocations and patterns. Collocations are sets of words that are usually used together, right? So for example, if we think about homework, right? We have 2 options: do homework, or make homework. Both of these verbs have very similar meaning, but I know that the collocation is to do your homework, not make it. So we need to learn some collocations, some set phrases, right, to be successful in this task. And of course, connecting phrases, right? That's also a big part of it because every set of 30 through 36 has at least one connecting phrase in it. And again, you have 1 point for each 30 through 36. Nothing scary or confusing here in the point column. Yeah. Okay, I think we're ready to move on to our next part, which is writing. Yeah. For writing, the recommended time is 90 minutes, and that is a lot, right? And it's good that it's a lot because, well, the hard task is really hard. So let's have a look at them. The first one is email, right? Email is the basic level task, and it is pretty easy to do it if you know how, right? You know all the rules. At our year-long course, we are going to study the template, right? So all the things you have to do while you're writing the email, step by step, with all the phrases that you can use, approved phrases by the people who were creating the exam. So yeah, the template is very cool and it is very useful, right? The only thing that is always different is your answers to the questions and the questions that you have to ask, right? To your friend. So that's basically your whole task, right? Answer the questions and ask 3 questions. Guys, what we need to really be attentive to is, well, the questions, right, that the person asks us. Usually there are 3, but I really do advise you to answer them one by one so that you don't forget anything, right? And the good news here is that you can use the same words from the email that you have right in front of you the whole time you're writing the task, because it is not going to lose you, to keep any points away from you, right? Right. Also, of course, during the whole course, we study how to form grammatically correct sentences, right? That is the basic skill that we need for all the tasks, not only 37, but here as well, right? Write emails with a template, of course. The template is there for you, and all the phrases that you can choose and use in every email. And how to ask questions correctly. If answering questions is a little bit easier because, well, I don't know, those are just sentences that you always use, right, in your speech, in your written speech, and in your speaking part. Asking questions is a little bit different, right? Because grammar there is specific, and here we again revise all the forms the questions can take. For the email, you can get the maximum of 6 points. Sorry for my strange 6, but well, here it is. 6 points if you do everything perfectly, right? Again, during our course, we do study all the criteria that gives you 5 and 4 and 2 and how you can lose points here as well, right? Okay. Moving on to the harder task, 38. Here we go. Guys, the good news here is that you can choose, right? So you always have 2, 38.1 and 38.2. You do not have to write 2. You have to write only 1 written statement based on this particular task. You always have a table or a pie chart or some form of statistics here, which you base your answer on. The idea is that you're working on a project, right? And you found some information, some results of opinion polls to support your written statement, right? Here, you always have the plan to help you write your written statement, right? And of course, during our course, we're going to study template, right? All the useful phrases that you need to write this work successfully, right? How to report and how to compare facts for paragraphs 2 and 3, how to express your opinion in a neutral way that we do need in this task, right? The whole thing has to be neutral, so we can't use any short forms, right? Short forms are like, I don't know, don't, sorry, not found, don't, right? Here we go. We can't use in our written statement because they are not neutral, they are informal, right? And of course, how to use linking words and phrases between all of these paragraphs, because that is also very important for the task. Now, in number 4, in the, well, point of the plan, number 4, we have one of the most challenging things about this task. We need to outline a problem that can arise with some particular topic that is always here and it's always different. In 38.1, we have IT jobs, and in 38.2, we have birthday presents, right? And we need us to suggest a way to of solving that problem, right? That is also what we study to do at the course, right? So what can be a problem with some IT jobs? Now, I don't know, maybe you have to study a lot. Maybe it's competitiveness, right, to get a job, right? A lot of IT workers nowadays, so it's hard to get a job. Maybe that's the problem. And you also get to suggest a way of solving that problem, right? Maybe someone will even listen, right, to that suggestion. A problem with birthday presents. Well, maybe it's hard to choose a present. Maybe you don't like receiving presents, and that could also be your problem. And how to solve it, right? Right, guys, with about these tasks, I can speak for, I don't know, hours. Unfortunately, we don't have hours today, so we're moving on. No, points. Sorry, I always forget to tell you how many points you get for each task. For this, you get 14 points, right? That is absolutely amazing. 14 points for one task. So be sure we spend a lot of time preparing for it, right? Okay, now we are moving on to the oral part. Again, the oral part happens on a separate day. That's day 2 of your exam. But the good news here is that it only lasts 17 minutes, right? Well, it's good news because you don't have to spend a lot of time. But it is maybe not so good news because, not such good news because, well, you don't have a lot of time to prepare, right? You do have some time to prepare for each task. It's different. We are going to have a look at them. The basic information is that there are 4 speaking tasks and you do them in front of a computer, right? So no one is going to listen to you except for the expert who's checking, right? But you're talking to the computer just like I am doing it now. Believe me, it is not easy. And if we do everything correctly, we get 20 points for all these tasks, which then converts into 24 final points. So the speaking part is important. You cannot really skip it if you really want, well, good results, right? 20 points are a lot. Moving on. The first task is reading, right? It is easy. It is of basic level, but we do need to learn a couple of things about English to, well, succeed, right? First of all, sounds and stress, right? So when we are reading, all the mistakes are counted, right? We do have to pronounce the words correctly, and we do need to put the stress on correct syllables. Intonation patterns and pauses are things that students don't usually pay attention to, but they are also important because if you choose the wrong intonation, if you don't fall at the end of the sentence, that is also a mistake. If you don't make any pauses and you're just going and going and going with your text, that is also a mistake. If you make a long pause somewhere in the middle of a sentence, that is also a mistake. So here, the idea is to practice a lot. Just read out loud, read whatever you can find, right? And try to sound natural, right? Try to sound confident and okay, right? For this task, you get 1.5 minutes to prepare, right? So that's when you see the text and you're just reading it to yourself. Nobody is recording you. Nobody is going to assess you based on these 1.5 minutes. And then you have 1.5 again to read it out loud for the expert to grade you. Guys, for speaking 1, you get only 1 point if you do everything correctly or if you make less than 5 mistakes. Okay, During our course, you will also have lots of practice reading things, not only to prepare for speaking one, but just in general, right? Reading out loud is a very cool skill that is actually, well, not appreciated by many, right? But it can help you sound when you're speaking more natural as well. So it is a good idea to read out loud, just to, practice before you meet all those native speakers and you want to talk to them in real life. Okay, moving on to speaking to. Speaking to is about asking questions again, right? Just like we did ask questions in the email, here we need to ask questions, well, orally, right? The idea is that you see an advertisement. In this case, it's some kind of a trip to the mountains, and you want to ask 4 questions. The things that you need to ask about are always listed right here, right? 4 things to ask about. And the only thing you have to do here is ask those questions, right? So you don't need to say hi, hello, thank you for answering and all that, right? No sorry, no thanks, nothing. Just 4 questions. That's it. You have some time to prepare. Give me a second. What's happening? Sorry. Sorry. Right, you have some time to prepare, but you have only 20 seconds to ask each question, right? A minute and a half to gather your thoughts, right? To think about it, and then 20 seconds to ask each of these questions. Guys, of course, we study how to ask about everything, right? We study types of questions and all the questions word that you can use, all the types of questions in this particular task, right? And word order, right? So like basic grammar of questions. Of course, we study them during our course. As an example, let's hear how we can ask these particular questions. Duration of the tour. How long does the tour last, right? One more very important thing to remember here is that in the first question, you always have to mention the actual thing that you're asking about. We can't use pronouns here. We can't ask, how long is it? No. How long is the tour? How long does the tour last? Price for one. Now, please do not ask how much is the price, right? The price is free, the tour is not. So we need to ask something like, how much does the tour cost for one person? Or easier, how much is the tour for one person? Number 3, student discounts. Very easy question. Do you have any student discounts, right? Are any student discounts available? Can I have a student discount, right? Do you offer any student discounts? There are different questions. All of them will be accepted. Special equipment needed. Well, do I need any special equipment? Would be a nice question. We can also ask, is any special equipment needed, right? Just a general question, yes or no, totally fine as well. Yeah. Okay. For this task, for each question, you get 1 point. So 4 in general, but well, if you make one mistake, there are 3 and so on, right? For each question, 1 point. Okay, moving on. 3. Guys, this is what you're going to see on the screen while you're sitting the exam, right? So task 3 is of a higher level since this year. So we're still waiting on some comments from PP, how it is going to be different. For now, it seems like it's the same, right? But we have to wait for some time to know for sure, right? So task 3 is an interview. You have to answer questions. You always have to answer questions with no less than 2 sentences. That is very important, and intonation here is also important. Basically, all the things that were important in reading 1 are important through the whole speaking part, right? You have to pronounce the words correctly. You have to have correct intonation, correct information as well, right? And you have to make pauses where they belong. You have 40 seconds to answer each question, and unfortunately, no time to prepare, right? So this is free speech, guys. Let's see the actual task, right? So here you can see the tape script. So this is what you're going to hear, right, in your headphones at the exam. First, the interviewer is going to announce that it's some kind of a program, right, and the topic of their program. Here, teenagers' attitude to local places of interest is your topic, and then you have 5 questions, right, that you need to answer. First of all, what do we need to study here? How to answer questions fully and what it actually means to do that. How to answer questions if you don't know the answer. That is also a thing that you will need to learn to pass this task perfectly. And of course, we are going to talk about all the popular topics for interviews. Yeah, like, I don't know, studies, technology, traveling, history, all the things that might be at the exam. We are going to discuss all of them in our classes. Well, you can have a look at the questions, but most probably at the exam, you'll have different ones, right? And for each question, for each of your answers, I mean, you get 1 point, right? So task 3 can give you 5 points in general, 1 point for each correct answer. That consists of 2+ sentences, has well, maybe not perfect grammar, but grammar without any simple mistakes, right? Without any bad pronunciation mistakes. Well, basically, good answers will get 1 point for each question. Okay, and the last task of the speaking part. This is speaking task 4, and it is also of the higher level. Here, the idea is that you are doing a project with a friend, right? You have found 2 pictures that you want to use in your project, but for some reason, you can't send these pictures to your friend, so you're describing them in a voice message, right? What are we studying? The pattern, of course, of the task. What do we need to do? For example, in the plan here in the task, you have only 4 points, right? Explain the choice of the illustrations, why you chose these particular pictures, right? Describing them and noting the differences between them. Then advantages of the 2, well, in this case, sport activities, right, that are depicted in the photos, and the disadvantages. And then your opinion on the subject. This is very important. You need to use the same grammar form, right? So I'd prefer swimming as my sports activity because I enjoy the water, something like that, right? And why? But before that, you also need to make a small introduction, saying hi to your friend, right? And telling them that you have found these 2 pictures that you would like to describe to them. And at the end, you also need to say bye to the friend. You can say something very easy like, that's it for now. Let me know what you think. Goodbye, right? Something like that. So these 2 points, though they're not in the plan, are extremely important for your success as well, right? In more detail, of course, we are going to study the whole task in our course. Logical and coherent speech are, of course, important for this task and for all other speaking tasks. We're also going to study how to express your opinion orally, right? And how to find advantages and disadvantages in those 2.5 minutes that you have to prepare for this task. To speak, you have 3 minutes, right? And during that time, you have to say 12 to 15 sentences covering all of these parts of the plan, plus introduction and conclusion. For this task, you get 10 points maximum. So 10 out of 20, that's like half of the speaking part, right? So this task is very important, and I do want you to study how to do it correctly, because, well, 10 points is a lot, right, for the English exam. Okay, guys, if we have any questions about any part of our exam or about some particular tasks, please do ask them. We are moving on to my next slide, talking a little bit more about studying with us, right, at Учеба.ру. So we get 9 months, right, of preparation. That does sound like a long time, but it really isn't when you're preparing for an exam, right? So 9 months are a lot. And you have to stay vigilant during those 9 months. You have to really study. You have to take everything that I give you, but believe me, you will not regret it if you really do. 70 lessons, lectures plus seminars. Lectures are interactive on our new and very convenient platform, and seminars are taken online, right? So that you can ask all your questions that you have, so that we can practice and do, well, lots of fun things together, right? For English, we also have a very exciting new addition, which is a speaking club. At the speaking club, we can relax a little bit, right? The only thing there that we have to do is speak English, discuss very interesting topics, and, well, get to know each other a little better, right? Talk to our peers, talk to our teachers, and just enjoy ourselves a little bit, right? Feel a little bit feel the release of pressure, right? Especially about the speaking, because I know that for a lot of students, it's a problem to speak freely, right? And for the speaking part, it's really important to have that skill. So during the speaking club sessions, we are going to develop that skill, and we're going to relax a little bit. Yeah, that's also very important during this year. Moreover, you're going to have home tasks, of course, and, well, it is really important to do them, right? Because you can study a lot with a teacher, right, with all your peers, but at the exam you will have to do everything yourself, right? So home tasks are kind of a practice for that, right? Moreover, every month you're going to have a mock exam. There, everything is pretty serious, right? No tips, right? A time limit, so that you can be prepared, right, for the actual exam, how it's all going to be there, right? Maybe even, I don't know, practice stressing out a little bit. That can also help. Okay, and guys, during the whole course, you're going to get detailed feedback on all your writing tasks and on all your speaking tasks, which is extremely important, because if you understand where you made mistakes, where you lost your points, of course, you can progress, right? And you can do better at the actual exam. Okay. Right, this is the user-friendly platform that I've been telling you about, right? This is where you're going to have interactive lessons, right? Interactive exercises. And the good news here is that you can also have a flexible schedule, right? So you don't have to do something at a particular time if you don't feel like it, or if you don't have any time for it right now. The schedule is flexible. And you're also going to have online meetings with teachers and with methodologists to communicate, to get motivated and inspired to do better, right, and to succeed in this exam. All right, we're almost at the end, right? I promised you a discount, right, at the end of this stream, and, well, here it is. If you leave your request following the link under the video today, you're going to get 40% discount for our year-long course. I think 40% is absolutely amazing. Please do use it, right, to be successful and to complete this exam perfectly in June. Okay, and gifts, right? I also promised you gifts. So Here you can see some info. Instead of 5,000 rubles, you get this for free. Guys, this is amazing, right? If you haven't decided what to do yet with your college and with your life, basically, right, what career to choose, this is going to be very useful to you. Again, you're going to get it if you leave your request at the link under the video. I'm looking forward to meeting you in class, right, at our new course. Please do join us. I really hope that you will after this video, after this stream. And well, I'm looking forward to it. Have a nice day, everyone, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.